Hello, everyone. And welcome to our Leadership Showcase in Hamilton.
Bienvenue à tous ceux et celles qui sont venus ici à Hamilton, ainsi qu'aux gens qui nous regardent sur Facebook, sur YouTube et sur le site web npd.ca.
Who is excited to be here this afternoon? I am Tanya DeMello.
Et je suis Mathieu Vic. Nous serons vos animateurs pour l'événement d'aujourd'hui.
Thanks to everyone who came out to support our 4 amazing candidates today. We want to start with a few important housekeeping rules. There will be simultaneous English to French and French to English translation available. Please pick up your headset device at our accessibility services table in the lobby. There will be live speech-to-text interpretation also available, and you can access this on your mobile device by going to the URL you see on the screen behind me.
Un service de traduction simultanée en anglais et en français vous est offert. Vous pouvez obtenir un casque d'écoute à la table des services d'accessibilité dans le lobby. Des services de transcription audio en texte sont aussi disponibles. Vous pouvez y avoir accès sur votre appareil mobile en vous rendant à l'adresse que vous voyez à l'écran derrière nous.
Just a reminder to everyone here in the room today, or watching at home on TV or online, please join the conversation on social media. Tweet about today's showcase with the hashtag NDPLDR.
C'est vrai, justement, Tania. Les réseaux sociaux sont une excellente façon d'interagir avec les néo-démocrates partout au pays. En plus, depuis hier, quand vous tweetez le mot-clic NPD-LDR, vous pouvez maintenant voir l'emoji personnalisé que le NPD et Twitter Canada ont développé ensemble pour le reste de cette campagne.
That's awesome, Mathieu. Thanks to Twitter Canada for working with us to create a unique NDP emoji. Now, I'd like to introduce Wanda Wypert and welcome her to the stage. She will open our showcase with a blessing. Wanda?
Okay, well, bonjour. Nane Medanango Crane Edition Cuz Mark Rotterdam. My name is Dancing Star. I come from the Bear Clan. I'm a member of the Mi'kmaq First Nation, and the territory I come from is at a place called Buttonkeg, which is about 19 miles outside of Antigonish in Nova Scotia. There's one person here from Nova Scotia. Although I live now in the territories of the Mississaugas of New Credit, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, or the Anishinaabe, which many of us from the Cree or Métis communities will tell you is Toronto. But today I'm here to welcome you to the territories of the Haudenosaunee, which I'm in Hamilton, right? So it's got to be the Haudenosaunee territory. And so I want to thank the individuals who invited me here today to acknowledge the land that we are sitting upon, to acknowledge the ancestors that were here long before the buildings and us, well, us, yeah, actually, walked upon this earth in a peaceful, loving, simple way of life. And so today I welcome you to this territory. I ask our ancestors to come and join all of us, to fill our minds and hearts with the wisdom, the knowledge, and the courage to be able to do the right things as we move forward from this time and place and into another time and place and on to our great-grandchildren's time. And so I want to sing a welcoming song. And at this time, ask the Creator to fill this room with love, respect, kindness, the things that we need to generate the things that other people might need. And that as you're here today and you're gathered for the reasons that the words are good and kind, and that when these lights go out, that it is time for the ancestors that we've called in to go help someone at some other place that is asking for it. Egg one no day. guando de. Hey, guando de, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, guando de, hey, guando de, hey, guando de, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, guando de, guando de, hey, guando de, hey, yangio, hey, yangio, yangio, hey, yangio, hey, guando de, guando de, hey, guando de, yangio, hey, yangio, yangio, hey, yangio. Oh, di kind of now, all my relations, me wet. Alrighty. Okay, I think I'm supposed to exit stage left. Okay, yeah, I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Merci, Wanda. Maintenant, je suis extrêmement fier d'accueillir une personne vraiment spéciale sur la scène.
Now, Matthew, there is a leader in our party who works tirelessly for families here in this city and right across Ontario.
Je sais de qui tu parles. Elle a commencé sa carrière politique en luttant contre les compressions des conservateurs ici même à Hamilton.
And ever since, she's been standing up for what matters most to families across this great province.
Elle travaille fort pour mettre fin aux coupes des conservateurs et des libéraux dans nos hôpitaux et pour réparer les dommages qu'ils ont causés.
She's taking on the Win Liberals over the outrageous sell-off of our public hydro.
Elle se dévoue corps et âme pour que le gouvernement serve la population, toute la population de l'Ontario.
I think you folks know who we're talking about.
Oui, oui, Tanya. Hamilton, c'est sa ville.
And we call her the Steeltown Scrapper.
Le 7 juin prochain, les Ontariennes et Ontariens vont choisir un ou une nouvelle première ministre et le choix est clair.
On June 7th, Ontarians will make a choice. On the one hand, there's a conservative leader with a hidden plan to cut services, like they always do.
Ou il y a Andrea Horwath, celle qui renforcera nos services publics et qui fera travailler le gouvernement dans l'intérêt des gens comme vous et moi.
New Democrats, please put your hands together.
Néo-démocrates, faites du bruit pour la chef du NPD de l'Ontario,
And the next Premier of Ontario,
Andrea Horwath.
No, our fault. Bonne chance.
Well, hello, New Democrats. Hello, New Democrats. I guess I'm going to have to do it the old way. My mic is not, oh, there we are. Hello, New Democrats. How's everybody doing today? Bienvenue à Ontario. It's great to see so many of you here today. Welcome to Ontario. Welcome to Hamilton. Welcome to Hamilton Centre, my riding. But it is really great to see all of you here today and to see our four candidates, our four incredible leadership candidates. You know, it's because of these candidates, these great candidates, and it's because of you, the members and volunteers on every one of these campaigns, that our entire party is stronger today in every corner of our nation. Here in Ontario, as was mentioned by Tanya, we are less than 9 months away from the next provincial election. And I gotta tell you, New Democrats are in it to win it. We are in this campaign to win. People are extremely, deeply disappointed in Kathleen Wynne. And the Conservatives, well, we know that the Conservatives are not the answer. In fact, the last time the Conservatives were in office here in Ontario, they cut 6,000 nurses. They shut down 28 hospitals. And they closed 7,000 hospital beds. That's what Conservatives do. And we are not going to let them do that to Ontario again. In fact, instead of cutting our hospitals and schools, New Democrats will fix the damage and strengthen our public services. Instead of selling off public assets, New Democrats will bring Hydro One back into full public ownership. And instead of letting workers fend for themselves, New Democrats will make it much easier for every worker to join a union and join the middle class. And New Democrats will pick up where Tommy Douglas left off and build Canada's first universal pharmacare program right here in this province of Ontario. Mes amis, nos priorités sont claires. We are running to win, to give people hope again in this province and show that government can work for everyday families. So, let's build on the momentum of this fantastic leadership race. Let's reach out and invite people to join us. Let's get out there and show every Ontarian and every Canadian that New Democrats are working for them. Merci beaucoup, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day. Miigwech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea.
La course a été longue. Je sais, Tanya, que tu as été modératrice pour le tout premier débat de cette course au leadership. Ça fait longtemps, tu trouves pas?
Whoa, I completely agree. It has been long. You also moderated one of the debates a few weeks ago in Montreal.
En effet. Et c'est génial de voir l'évolution de la course et de nos candidats et candidates durant cette période.
I couldn't agree more. We really do have such a strong field of candidates here today. Charlie, Nikki, Guy, and Jagmeet have been crisscrossing this entire country.
Ils ont présenté leurs idées aux membres dans des grandes et des petites communautés.
Speaking of members, Mathieu, can we take a moment to recognize the incredible growth of our party that we've seen in just 6 months?
Indeed, en effet, Tanya. Depuis le début de la course au leadership, notre nombre de membres a triplé.
That's something to cheer about. We now have more than 124,000 members from coast to coast to coast. And with voting online beginning tomorrow, the finish line is finally in sight.
124 000 membres, c'est un bel accomplissement. Toutes les campagnes et tous celles et ceux qui ont travaillé fort pour faire croître notre parti ont de quoi se sentir fiers.
All 4 candidates are here to tell those of you in the room tonight and everyone tuning in from across the country why you should choose them to lead our party.
Et les 4 candidats et candidates sont ici pour nous dire pourquoi ils et elles pensent qu'ils devraient être, pour la première fois, le ou la premier ministre néo-démocrate du Canada en 2019.
One of these candidates can be Prime Minister in 2019. But before we get started, we want to talk to you a little bit about voting.
La plupart des membres ont déjà reçu leur bulletin de vote par la poste.
That's true. And you know what, Mathieu? You should have already received a ballot by now, folks. And if you haven't, give our election hotline a call and they can help you out. You can check out our website or the toll-free hotline number and call anytime from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time, 7 days a week.
Justement, Tania, j'ai dû appeler l'assistance téléphonique l'autre jour parce que je n'avais pas reçu mon bulletin à la maison. Je suis allé sur le site web, j'ai trouvé le numéro et je les ai appelés. Et puis, ils m'ont beaucoup aidé. Et quand je vais recevoir mon nouveau mot de passe, je vais pouvoir voter en ligne dès demain et je serai prêt.
Perfect. In this election, you can vote in 2 ways. You can vote online or by mail. So remember, if you vote by mail, your ballot needs to get to Montreal by Friday, September 29th, or it won't count for the first round. I'm going to drop mine in the mail off tomorrow to make sure that it'll get there on time.
Tu fais bien de le mentionner, Tania. Si vous votez en ligne, vous pouvez le faire n'importe quand à partir de demain matin à 10 heures. Mais si vous votez par la poste, vous devriez poster votre bulletin bientôt pour vous assurer qu'il arrive à Montréal d'ici le vendredi 29 septembre. Vous savez, la procédure de vote est très simple. Vous n'avez qu'à classer les candidats de 1 à 4 en fonction de vos préférences, et c'est tout.
Voting's pretty simple, Mathieu. You get this ranked ballot, and you get to choose your preference by listing your choice for the next leader from 1 to 4. So even if your top choice gets eliminated in the first round, your voice will still count.
C'est vraiment tout ce qu'il y a à dire au sujet de la procédure de vote. Pour connaître toutes les dates importantes, avoir des instructions plus détaillées sur la manière de voter ou pour obtenir le numéro d'assistance, rendez-vous simplement au npd.ca/leadership.
That's right. Just check out ndp.ca/leadership for all key dates and times, more detailed instructions on how to vote, and the Leadership 2017 elector hotline number.
OK, Tania, on va commencer en écoutant 2 femmes fantastiques qui ont toutes les 2 de l'expérience quand il s'agit de bâtir notre mouvement et d'obtenir les résultats.
After we hear from our 2 amazing guest speakers, we'll get to hear from each of the 4 candidates. Each candidate will have 22 minutes to put on a show.
Nos 4 candidats et candidates ont travaillé très fort pour nous concocter une présentation de 22 minutes afin de tous nous convaincre. Et dans quelques minutes à peine, nous entendrons ce qu'ils ont à dire.
The order of the candidates that are appearing tonight was determined by a random draw. Just a reminder that after each showcase, we'll be taking a few minutes to reset the stage and prepare for the next speaker.
Mais avant tout, je voudrais accueillir 2 merveilleuses néo-démocrates sur la scène.
Eve Piclet was elected in 2011 to represent La Pointe-l'Île as part of the Orange Wave, something I remember very fondly. At 22, Eve was one of our youngest MPs, but she quickly established herself as a passionate representative for the people in her riding. Her work to get young people across Canada involved in politics has been truly remarkable.
Et Vicky Mowat, qui a travaillé avec acharnement comme militant du NPD et qu'il y a seulement 2 semaines a regagné la circonscription de Saskatoon-Fairview pour le NPD de la Saskatchewan.
Let's make some noise for 2 amazing candidates, Vicky Mowat and Eve Piclet. Other way.
Merci Mathieu, merci Tania, et merci à chacun et chacune d'entre vous de nous inclure dans cet événement formidable.
I'm blown away by these 4 candidates. Each of them has done incredible things in their communities, and the effort they've put into these races has been tireless and exciting. They've helped each of us grow our circle of people within our party and build our momentum. We've tripled our membership. Canadians are paying attention, and this is an exciting moment for our party.
Profiter de ce moment et poursuivre l'élan jusqu'à l'élection 2019 sera notre plus grand défi. Laissez-moi vous dire ce que j'ai vu en 2011. Tout le monde se rappelle de la vague orange. Nous étions sur une lancée, mais ce qui est vraiment important, c'est que ce qui a permis de poursuivre cette lancée, c'est des gens comme vous ici aujourd'hui.
Less than 2 weeks ago, when I became the newest NDP MLA in Saskatchewan, I was surrounded by supporters. I was surrounded by people who worked tirelessly for months and years, talking to their neighbors, putting up signs, making phone calls. We put in the work and we inspired people and we built a winning campaign together. This is a party of perseverance. When Tommy Douglas lost a tough election, he would recall an old Scottish poem. I'm hurt, but I'm not slain. I shall lay me down and bleed a while, then rise and fight again. New Democrats always get back up, and we keep going because we know the importance of the work that we do, and it has a real impact on people. I'm proud of everyone on our team. Just weeks after losing by just a couple hundred votes in 2016, we regrouped, we came together, we made a plan, and we won.
Et il faut vraiment que je te dise, Vicky, à quel point moi j'étais complètement emballée, excitée, quel point tout le monde ici était content quand tu as été élu. Et justement, ça démontre que partout au pays, les néo-démocrates prouvent encore que notre mouvement grandit.
You're absolutely right, Ev. In Saskatchewan, we're rebuilding our party, and our movement continues to grow. In Alberta, New Democrats are making big changes, changes that are improving the lives of Albertans every single day. Over in BC, New Democrats that only months ago ended 16 years of BC Liberal rule are proving every day that when people work together, real change is possible. And of course, right here in Ontario, New Democrats are gearing up to offer Ontarians a real alternative to out-of-touch Liberals and Conservatives.
En ce qui me concerne, j'ai été emportée par un moment fort du parti au Québec en 2011. Et j'ai eu la chance d'être élue alors que j'avais seulement 22 ans. Et ça a été un privilège d'être là alors qu'on vivait un moment si fort pour le NPD au Québec. C'est sûr, ça a été une déception de perdre mon siège en 2015, mais j'ai toujours la conviction qu'on mérite mieux. Et c'est pour ça que je suis ici avec vous aujourd'hui, pour qu'on puisse continuer la lutte ensemble. Et je pense qu'une des choses qui m'a le plus marquée en tant que jeune femme, c'est la façon dont mes collègues et le parti m'ont toujours appuyée, m'ont encouragée à me présenter. En tant que femme en politique, je suis bien placée pour savoir que souvent, on a l'impression que tout joue en notre défaveur en politique. Mais c'est exactement pour ça qu'il nous faut plus de femmes, plus de jeunes et plus de gens de divers horizons, avec des expériences diversifiées et à tous les paliers de gouvernement, pas juste au fédéral. C'est pour ça que dans le cadre de mon travail en tant que députée, mais encore aujourd'hui, je me suis consacrée à essayer de recruter plus de femmes, plus de jeunes dans notre mouvement, des gens qui n'auraient peut-être jamais pensé pouvoir se présenter et même gagner. Et donc, je veux dire aujourd'hui à tous ceux et celles qui nous regardent et à tous ceux et celles qui sont là aujourd'hui, que si vous partagez nos valeurs, que si vous tenez à l'égalité et aux droits des Autochtones, si vous croyez que notre économie devrait inclure tout le monde, si vous pensez qu'il est possible de bâtir un meilleur Canada, ensemble, eh bien, on peut changer le monde. Ensemble, on peut y arriver.
Whether you're a single parent or a newcomer to this country, whether you've been denied a voice or you think you can't make it in politics, I'm here to tell you that you can. Your voice needs to be heard. You don't need big money and big connections. You just need big dreams and the people in this room and in this movement standing beside you. We need you if we're going to build a Canada that works for everyone.
Les enjeux pour 2019 sont vraiment, mais vraiment importants. Les Canadiens travaillent fort, mais ils n'y arrivent tout simplement pas. Ils perdent du terrain. Et nous avons un gouvernement libéral qui promet sans cesse d'aider les Canadiens ordinaires, mais ce sont encore les riches, les PDG, les amis du parti qui continuent à ramasser les profits sous ce gouvernement libéral.
We know Canadians are frustrated, but we also know that it doesn't have to be this way. The Liberals have refused to address precarious and low-paying jobs and are making life harder for families. As New Democrats, we will.
Les libéraux refusent de tenir leur promesse de rendre notre système électoral plus juste et plus démocratique. Mais les néo-démocrates vont le faire.
Liberals won't commit to investing in health care, like including universal pharmacare, to make sure Canadians get the care they need regardless of how much money they make. New Democrats will.
Et les libéraux n'ont toujours pas de cible significative pour combattre les changements climatiques. Ils n'ont même pas pris les décisions difficiles qui nous permettraient de les atteindre. Mais devinez quoi? Les néo-démocrates vont le faire.
Liberals refuse to implement UNDRIP and end discrimination against Indigenous children. New Democrats won't let this injustice go on any longer.
Ensemble, nous pouvons bâtir un Canada meilleur qui profite à tout le monde. Mais nous avons besoin de votre soutien. C'est sur le terrain que nous, les néo-démocrates, gagnons des campagnes. Et c'est comme ça qu'on remporte la victoire dans les provinces et dans les territoires. Et c'est comme ça qu'on va gagner lors de la prochaine élection fédérale en 2019.
The Liberals have wealthy donors and privileged interests. New Democrats rely on the support of everyday Canadians. While Liberals work for the benefit of the few, we can work for all Canadians. Our strength is in our numbers, our activists, and our voters.
Il y a des gens qui ne nous prennent pas au sérieux, qui disent qu'on ne pourra pas avoir de premier ministre en 2019. Mais combien de fois vous avez entendu ça? Combien de fois on nous a dit que les néo-démocrates, c'est impossible? Quand j'entends des gens comme Charlie, Nikki, Guy et Jagmeet s'exprimer, et quand je vois chacun d'entre vous vous engager avec tout votre cœur, je sais que rien n'est impossible.
Together, New Democrats can do anything. We've seen it. But it's up to all of us to do the work. That means that regardless of who our next leader is, we need to be able to come together.
Il faut se mobiliser. Il faut parler à nos amis. Il faut aller faire du porte-à-porte. Et oui, il faut ramasser de l'argent. On ne peut pas permettre d'attendre 2019. On a un élan maintenant. Et c'est notre heure. C'est à nous de jouer.
So every one of you in this room and everyone watching across Canada, I want you to think about what you're going to do to strengthen our movement. Not in 2019, but now, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Every day we have opportunities to grow our base. Let's not let these opportunities pass us by.
Il faut décider dès maintenant de faire partie de ceux qui construisent un Canada meilleur. Décider dès maintenant que quand la journée de l'élection viendra en 2019, chacun et chacune d'entre nous pourra repenser au passé et dire que rien n'a été laissé au hasard et que personne n'a été oublié. Décider dès maintenant que l'un ou l'une de ces 4 candidats sera notre prochain premier ministre du Canada. Et une fois que cette décision sera prise, on pourra se mettre au travail dès demain.
Are you with us?
Okay. Then let's hear it for our great candidates, Charlie Angus, Nikki Ashton, Guy Caron, and Jagmeet Singh. Thank you, Hamilton.
Thank you.
All right, settle down. Wow. We've gotten to hear from some pretty incredible New Democrats so far tonight. The order of our showcase, again, is Guy Caron, Charlie Angus, Nikki Ashton, and Jagmeet Singh.
Tout à fait d'accord. Qu'est-ce que tu en penses, Tania? Crois-tu que les gens ici sont prêts à entendre nos candidats et candidates?
I'm pretty sure. I definitely think that New Democrats are ready to see these amazing showcase performances. So let's get started and make some noise for our 4 leadership candidates.
moi, les débats, c'est justement une façon de mieux connaître les candidats. On ne va pas nécessairement toujours rencontrer les candidats face à face. Alors pour nous, les débats, c'est une façon de les voir, de voir comment ils s'expriment, de voir comment ils interagissent avec les gens et de découvrir leur position sur des sujets sur lesquels peut-être on n'aura pas l'occasion de discuter avec eux.
I felt a lot more involved, which is definitely the way you want your electorate to feel. I liked it to sort of like, you know, watching a hockey game at home versus being in the actual arena to watch it.
On a 4 candidats qui sont vraiment solides. J'ai encore de la difficulté à choisir, mais je sais que peu importe qui gagne, on va être dans le bon moment.
Everyone on that stage agrees on some fundamental principles, but to see where people's thoughts are around those issues, their energy around those issues, their passion, their priorities, right, was very interesting.
J'ai suivi aussi les autres débats, alors je suis très intéressé. Maintenant qu'on se rend à la fin de la course, c'est l'avant-dernier débat. C'est bien intéressant de définir c'est quoi les positions concrètes de chaque candidat.
I'm just stoked to see our candidates hash it out on stage today.
Mes amis, s'il vous plaît, veuillez accueillir chaleureusement notre premier candidat, Guy Caron.
New Democrats, please welcome to the stage, Guy Caron.
Good afternoon, friends and fellow New Democrats. Welcome to Hamilton. I'm so proud to be here to support Guy Caron as the next leader of the NDP.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes, et je me joins à Scott pour vous souhaiter la bienvenue ici à Hamilton. Et surtout, je suis extrêmement fière de supporter Guy Caron.
I want to start out by congratulating each candidate on a well-fought campaign. This leadership race has reminded me why I'm so proud to call myself a New Democrat.
La course a été une excellente occasion de réfléchir sur le genre de pays que nous espérons bâtir pour nous-mêmes et pour les générations futures. En tant que néo-démocrates, nous sommes chanceux de pouvoir choisir parmi 4 excellentes visions social-démocrates pour y arriver.
As a proud steelworker, Guy convinced me that he can connect us with the values we hold dearly as New Democrats, and that he can inspire us to move our party forward with progressive new ideas.
Lorsque j'ai appuyé Guy, je l'ai décrit comme étant un économiste de formation et un progressiste de conviction, parce qu'il réussit si bien à marier la crédibilité à la compassion. En tant que député, je l'ai vu travailler sans relâche pour défendre les intérêts des gens de son comté, et je sais que Guy comprend parfaitement la réalité des régions du Québec.
Guy understands that politics should be in the service of people, not the other way around. Quite simply, he's the best candidate to continue the work that Jack Layton started.
Je suis convaincue qu'il est le mieux placé pour unir toutes nos forces au pays. Alors, plein feu sur Guy Caron et allons voir ensemble son histoire.
Thank you.
I'll be honest, when I launched my campaign back in February, "Who's that guy?" was a comment I heard frequently. But I kept my head down and camping hard.
Camping launched on February 27th, and that's over 200 days ago. Was very nerve-wracking. I knew what I was getting into, but it was really nerve-wracking. I was excited. Nerveux également parce que bon, j'étalais pour la première fois la vision que j'avais pour le parti, mais aussi pour le pays. Et de le faire avec mon épouse et mes enfants qui étaient là, ben, c'est pour moi quelque chose d'extrêmement important et de sentir leur appui. Valérie, mon épouse, a toujours été m'a toujours appuyé dans tout ce que j'ai accompli. That was seen the couple as being a union of two individuals. You need to keep your individuality within the couple, but the couple helps you to maximize really the strengths that you have and to get the best of you. Valerie was able to get that of me. Ça a été le cas dans notre vie professionnelle, dans notre vie personnelle et particulièrement après la naissance de Dominique et d'Edith, alors que, évidemment, tous les défis qui se présentent dans le fait d'élever deux enfants. I'm in this race because I was thinking of my kids, I was thinking of their future, I was thinking of the fact that the next generation will be worse off than the current generation. Et pour moi, c'est inacceptable dans un pays aussi riche que le Canada. And I want to be able to fight to ensure that people can have this vision. This is what I can bring to this race, to this country, and this is why I decided to run.
Hello, Hamilton. My name is Ken Newman. I'm the National Director of the Steelworkers. It's an honor for me to be here in our wonderful progressive family. It's particularly nice to be here in Hamilton, NDP country. We steelworkers are not shy to say it loud and clear that the NDP is the party of labor. The NDP is the party of workers. The NDP is the only party for steelworkers. The steelworkers' leadership are very proud to say loud and clear, we endorse Guy Caron as the next leader of the NDP. Let me tell you why I support Guy. Guy has put forward bold policies to build a strong, progressive Canada. Guy's knowledge of the issues has allowed him to articulate a path forward. Guy has offered solutions to the biggest challenges of our time, like climate change and inequality. And Guy always thinks of workers first. For Guy, it's not just lip service. Guy Caron comes from labor. Guy has been fighting for progressive issues for the past 30 years. In the labor movement, Guy fought so workers could receive their hard-earned pensions when Abitibi-Bowater filed for bankruptcy. At the Council of Canadians, Guy fought against privatization of our healthcare system. As the Canadian Federation of Students, as the first ever Francophone president, Guy fought Jean Chrétien's cuts to education. Guy has been there in the trenches fighting with us all of his life. He does it the only way he knows how, by bringing people together, by building bridges between Quebec and English-speaking progressives, by building bridges between rural and urban areas. As steelworkers, we know a thing or two about building bridges. And without a doubt, Guy is the bridge builder that we need. Join me. Let's make Guy Caron the leader of the New Democratic Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Joining us now in Ottawa, Guy Caron, the national chairperson of the Canadian Federation of Students. Guy, can you start?
Quand je me suis impliqué en politique étudiante, ce n'était pas nécessairement pour être en politique autant que pour tenter d'améliorer la vie des étudiants de mon campus, de mon université. And I was not that involved with the external politics, the federal politics, until I started joining meetings at CFS. Ce qui m'a donné l'opportunité de pouvoir rencontrer des gens de divers milieux, diverses régions, puis de comprendre au bout du compte que la réalité de l'Université d'Ottawa, c'était une réalité parmi tant d'autres réalités. This camaraderie between the members of the student movement really helped me a lot to understand what can be achieved when we work together. Pour moi, le leadership, c'est vraiment la capacité d'inspirer toute une équipe derrière pour pouvoir ramer dans la même direction et en arriver à des résultats communs. Et évidemment, pour pouvoir inspirer, on doit pouvoir obtenir le meilleur de chacun et chacune justement vers ce but commun. To be able to feel that they are part of a team and they have something to contribute and to get the best of them. What I learned is that the future of politics, because of the way millennials think or the way that they see politics, will be very different than what we have experienced ourselves. Il n'y aura plus vraiment de questions à savoir si les jeunes veulent se joindre à un parti ou à un autre, s'ils veulent faire partie de l'équipe orange, de l'équipe rouge ou de l'équipe bleue, as much as being inspired and being driven by the issues. If the issues are able to connect with them, they will join you. Ils attachent beaucoup d'importance aussi aux personnalités. Ils veulent avoir des gens qui sont authentiques, qui vont les inspirer and to believe in them.
Hello, fellow New Democrats. I'm so pleased to be with you today to take part in the NDP Leadership Showcase for Guy Caron.
Thank you for joining us for this exciting and important event before we vote to elect our new leader. We're so proud to support Guy.
Let's be clear. For the NDP, the path to victory goes through Quebec. Jack Layton knew this, and he focused on reaching out to Quebecers.
That was the winning approach. Finally, the NDP was speaking the same language as Quebecers, and I don't mean French. I mean of progressive values, of taking care of our families, our communities, and our country.
Like Jack, Guy understands the importance of building bridges, and he's uniquely positioned to lead us to win seats both in Quebec and right across the country.
He's perfectly bilingual, one of the only a handful of NDP MPs who actually increased their vote in the last election. He's the ideal foil for Trudeau, offering substance over image and authenticity over spin. Guy is ready to take on both Liberals and Conservatives in the House of Commons.
My riding of Vancouver Kingsway is a multicultural community where folks are looking for policies that make a difference in their lives. Guy understands the challenges that face working families of all kinds. I know he'll connect with voters in Vancouver and put us in the best position to win in 2019.
As leader, Guy is ready to tackle the tough challenges of our time. Above all, he's a consensus builder, from coast to coast to coast.
Friends and New Democrats, it's time to end the back and forth between Liberals and Conservatives. It's time for Canada's NDP. It's time for Guy Caron.
My friends, New Democrats and progressives across the country, we have to think about the next election in 2019 because that should be our goal. After disappointing progressives on climate change, on First Nations, on tax havens, on electoral reforms, you have an idea of what Justin Trudeau will say to stay in power, don't you? I can tell you what he will be saying. He will actually be quoting another famous Canadian Justin. He will tell progressives, is it too late to say sorry?
Liberals have failed. They have failed to implement anything that they promised. And especially about electoral reform. They've been lying to you, and they sabotage every effort to get there. And for which they told us there's nothing else we can do. There is something we can do. The first thing we'll do as a majority NDP government will be to implement electoral reform with a mixed member proportional, moving away from first past the post, because we'll respect our commitment.
Everything is a matter of choice, and everything is a matter of political will.
En 2019, nous pouvons former le gouvernement, nous allons former le gouvernement. Et la manière de former le gouvernement, c'est en bâtissant des ponts entre le Québec et le reste du pays. I'm with the New Democratic Party because I do believe in the values it carries. I do believe in the values of fairness, of solidarity. Les valeurs que nous défendons au NPD sont les valeurs que défendent les Canadiens et les Canadiennes. Ces valeurs sont celles dont nous devrons nous inspirer pour la plateforme de 2019. Et nous devrons inspirer les Canadiens et les Canadiennes d'une manière que nous n'avons pas encore réussi à faire. C'est what Tommy Douglas, David Lewis, Ed Broadbent, Jack Layton, Thomas Mulcair, Audrey McLaughlin, Alex MacDonald fought for as well. Alors, je suis au NPD pour défendre ces valeurs, pour avancer ces valeurs,
pour inspirer et aussi pour donner cette vision du Canada de demain.
To ensure that no one is left behind.
Que seul un gouvernement néo-démocrate pourra mettre de l'avant.
And I want to add my voice to those powerful fighters for justice and for fairness.
These days, I don't hear, "Who's that guy?" so much. Instead, more and more people are saying, "I like that Guy." Thank you.
Bonjour, Hamilton. My name is Valerie Stansfield. Guy is my husband. I'm really nervous. I've never done this sort of thing before. At the beginning of the campaign, Guy's team assured me I'd never have to do this sort of thing. And that did not last. They came back to me and said, Guy can actually win this. We really need you. So here I am. I'm happy that New Democrats across Canada are seeing what I saw when I first met Guy Caron many, many years ago. He's a loving partner, a great dad, and he would be a great leader. I care a great deal about the legacy we'll leave with our children. And with Guy, I know that the NDP and our country are in good hands. With that, please join me in welcoming to the stage my husband, Guy Caron.
Bonjour tout le monde, c'était Dominique. Hello Hamilton, hello New Democrats across the country. First, I want to acknowledge that we are in the traditional territory and we are gathering in the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg First Nations. Est-ce que j'ai pas la meilleure femme du monde, la femme la plus merveilleuse du monde? Merci. Merci Valérie. Lorsqu'on a commencé à parler d'une possible participation à la course de la chefferie, nous savions que ce ne serait pas une décision facile. Ça voudrait dire beaucoup de temps passé sur la route. It was a serious endeavor, and like all big decisions, we took it as a family, because without our loved ones, nothing is worthwhile. Dominique et Eddie, papa vous aime beaucoup. Et Valérie, merci encore pour ton appui. So listen, I use the word we a lot. I've just told you how we as a family made the decision to run for the leadership. I strongly believe in the power of the word we. During this campaign, sometimes my trusted team would tell me, Guy, this is a leadership race. Why can't you say I more than we? And I would say, what's the problem with this? And what they would be saying is, well, we is great, but only you are proposing to make electoral reform the first bill of an NDP government. So sure, it's a valid point, but here's the thing, Hamilton. The NDP is the party of the we. It may be self-evident, but we is what makes everything possible. It's because of we, all of us here, that no matter who the next leader of our party will be, we will make electoral reform the first bill of the first ever federal NDP government. And I do believe we can win in 2019, and I don't believe we should be shy about saying it. To win in 2019, we'll need to focus on three things: offering a detailed, ambitious, and truly progressive agenda for change. We'll need to win back progressives by providing a clear contrast to Trudeau's Liberals, substance over flashy socks, and authenticity over empty slogans. And we absolutely need to regain our strength in Quebec. When we win in Quebec, we win seats all across the country. Because then we become a real progressive alternative everywhere in Canada. Et comme parti, on ne peut pas reculer. Notre rôle est de poursuivre le dur travail des générations de néo-démocrates qui nous ont précédés et qui ont consacré leur vie à faire de notre parti un parti qui est véritablement national. Building bridges between progressive-minded people in Quebec and the rest of the country is not easy. And I know it's not easy because it's something I've been working on my whole life. But it is possible. Listen, my friends, I've been crystal clear in my views. The state has no business telling women or men how to dress. And that's why I oppose Quebec's Bill 62. But I do believe it should be up to the Quebec's National Assembly. That's the very essence of the Sherbrooke Declaration. La laïcité de l'État au Québec n'a jamais voulu dire que nos politiciens ne peuvent afficher leur foi. Ce qui importe, ce sont leurs idées, ce sont leurs valeurs. Et j'aimerais dire, Jagmeet, tu as une place dans notre parti et tu as une place dans notre Québec. Jagmeet, you have a place in our party and you have a place in my Quebec. Let's not kid ourselves. These are not easy conversations to have, but I strongly believe that as a party, we're more than up to the challenge. I'm so proud that all three of my fellow leadership colleagues have confirmed that they support the principles of the Sherbrooke Declaration. When we put these issues on the table a few weeks back, some people told us that we should not rock the boat, that maybe we should put our heads in the sand and hoping that these issues would just go away. But maintaining growing NDP support in Quebec is vital to the future of our party. And I simply could not take the easy road out and leave these challenges for another day. Leadership is about making real decisions that affect people's life, and sometimes those decisions are difficult ones. With me as leader, we will not only hold what we have in Quebec, we'll actually grow, and we will be fulfilling Jack's dream and ensure the NDP's presence in the province for years to come. But my campaign is not just about Quebec. It's also about bringing economic credibility to bold policy ideas. Dès le premier jour de ma campagne, j'ai affirmé que la lutte à la pauvreté devait être une préoccupation centrale du NPD. Et c'est pour ça, mes amis, que j'ai placé le revenu de base au cœur de mes politiques. It's big and it's bold, and it will fundamentally change the way we help the most vulnerable among us. Imagine a Canada where meeting your basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing is no longer a struggle. Imagine the huge wave of potential that we can trigger in this country. Just think, a student who doesn't need to have 2 jobs to finish a degree. A Canadian who has been unemployed for a long time, who has opportunities to finally retrain for a better job. When people don't have to struggle simply to survive, they're actually in a position to thrive and to plan for the future. And that, my friends, is worth fighting for. Et oui, le revenu de base vise à éliminer la pauvreté, mais aussi à nous aider à faire face à des réalités économiques et des défis économiques qui nous attendent, comme l'automatisation rapide de notre société, comme également la transition qui va être nécessaire pour une économie qui va être basée sur l'énergie renouvelable. Leadership is about looking ahead. It's about committing ourselves to remedy our inaction. Le nouveau citoyen canadien de Montréal qui peine à trouver un emploi a les mêmes rêves et les mêmes inquiétudes que le travailleur de l'Atlantique qui cherche à se recycler. Les deux veulent nourrir leurs enfants et les deux veulent prendre soin de leurs parents. Et le devoir des progressistes, c'est de bâtir des ponts entre ces deux personnes. My friends, I was inspired, I was humbled by the support I felt throughout this campaign. I want to assure you, I am ready to lead. Let's do it now. Join me. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
just...
Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, our next showcase is... Got 3 and 4.
I just don't want to say the wrong name. You guys ready?
The audience will be starting again soon with the next showcase.
We will be starting again very soon with our next showcase.
La prochaine présentation va commencer dans quelques minutes.
Just wait.
And now our next showcase is Charlie Angus.
Chers amis, veuillez accueillir Charlie Angus.
I'm Charlie Angus. I get my name from my grandfather who died at the mine just before I was born. Je dois mon nom à mon grand-père qui est mort à la mine d'or avant ma naissance. My parents quit school when they were teenagers. They were the kids of miners. University wasn't an option. Je me souviens de ma mère qui faisait des cours par correspondance le soir. And when he was 40, my dad earned enough money to go back to school. He became a professor of economics. That was our ticket into the middle class. And we moved into an overcrowded townhouse in Scarborough, plein de musique, de joie et de débat. The first Clash album opened my eyes. It made me think that it was possible for a kid from nowhere to get active and maybe, just maybe, help change the world. So Andrew Cash and I formed a band. We organized music rallies to get young people active in political change. Ma femme et moi, on a ouvert une maison pour les sans-abri au centre-ville de Toronto. J'avais 25 ans. Puis, on a déménagé dans le Nord pour élever notre famille. On a fondé un magazine sur les politiques et la culture du Nord. C'est là que je me suis battu contre l'importation de déchets toxiques chez nous. I worked with Jack Layton in this fight. He encouraged me to run for public office. And I brought that grassroots activism to Parliament, fighting for blue-collar workers, the LGBTQ community, and artists. But everything became more urgent when I met 13-year-old Shannon Kustasian from Attawapiskat. I watched her grow into an extraordinary civil rights leader, fighting the brutal injustices faced by Indigenous children in this country. We lost her to an accident in 2010, but I think of her every single day. Children only have one childhood, and once it's gone, it never comes back. I'm running for leader so that I can tell Shannon's generation that there is reason for hope, that this nation really does have their back. Qu'elle peut compter sur nous.
Wajak Miswe. Thank you. My name is Serena Kustasian, and I'd like for you to take a look at this photo behind me. It's a photo of my sister Shannon. You may have heard of her, but she started the largest youth-driven human rights movement in Canadian history. When she was just 13, Shannon found out that her school, our school in Attawapiskat, was in such terrible shape that Aboriginal children on reserve don't have equal access to educational funding as other kids do in Canada. And Shannon, she was always outspoken. And she let everybody know how unfair that was. And the idea caught on. Young people from all over Canada joined in the fight for our equal education. And eventually, after 10 years, 10 long years, we finally got a new school in Attawapiskat. Thank you. And one of the people who helped Shannon and my community the most was Charlie Angus. He encouraged her. He encouraged her to become active because he told her she had a right to be angry. So he helped her go to Ottawa to meet with the Prime Minister, and he also took Shannon and I into his own home and treated us as family. And he took this photo, which has now become the iconic symbol for Shannon's dream. It's been said that true leaders don't create more followers, but create more leaders. That's why I'm supporting Charlie Angus as the next NDP leader. Because he has a proven record of helping people help themselves and a record of compassion for our most vulnerable people. Charlie showed the young people in my community that we have the power. Miigwech.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Howard, and I'm here to tell you why I'm supporting Charlie Angus for leader. I've had the privilege of serving as a cabinet minister in an NDP government. I know what we can achieve when we have the power to put our principles into action. I want a leader who can win elections and whose principles have been tested. Charlie is a principled New Democrat. He voted for marriage equality and to protect the rights of families like mine, my wife and I and our 2 kids, even though his own church threatened to kick him out. Charlie se tient debout pour que les enfants et les jeunes autochtones, et il est un ambassadeur de la réconciliation et de la justice. Je travaille maintenant dans le mouvement syndical. Charlie a démontré sa solidarité en visite les travailleurs sur les piquettes de grève. Il se bat depuis toujours au nom des travailleurs. Et il sait que la défense de notre environnement doit se faire en défendant également les bons emplois. Charlie is real. He is authentic. He speaks to Canadians and Quebecers who have left us. Charlie has a plan to rebuild our party and to put regional organizers back on the ground where they're needed. He'll have us ready for the next election. I believe that when we get to see Charlie face off against Justin, there will be no doubt about who really has our back. If we want to build the nation of our dreams to fulfill the promise of Tommy Douglas and the legacy of Jack Layton, we need a leader who can take us to government and who will never sacrifice our values to get there. Charlie is that leader. Every day, Charlie shows us that people have the power.
Hey folks, I'm Andrew Cash, and I'm thrilled to be here among so many friends. You know, I've had the honor of working with all the leadership candidates. They are all friends of mine. They're incredible people. Nikki, Jagmeet, Guy, and Charlie. But you know, I've known Charlie Angus for a long, long, long time, as he's showed you. And I gotta tell you, I have never met anyone with more heart, more passion, and more integrity in my life. Ayant moi-même été politicien, je peux vous dire que j'ai rarement vu quelqu'un qui travaille aussi fort que Charlie. Et il le fait avec le même effort pour les gens de sa circonscription, de son parti et pour son pays. Charlie, you know, Charlie walks the talk. As he's, and he does. I mean, we all know that. I mean, as he showed you, yes, we did start a band when we were teenagers. And yes, he did start Home for Homeless People right then when we started that band. But what he doesn't tell you is that we were getting very successful. We had a clear path to a different kind of life, and Charlie decided, no, this is the right thing to do. This is what has to be done right now. And you know, he has never stopped. Il est toujours là pour écouter et se battre pour tous les Canadiens qui ont été mis de côté et pour les gens qui sont de plus en plus nombreux à ne plus trouver de place dans notre économie. You know, as a longtime freelance and contract worker, before he entered politics, Charlie knows we've got to address head-on the fact that too many workers, particularly young workers, are just a bike accident away from poverty. Il faut changer ça. Et je crois que Charlie Angus est le leader qui peut le faire. But you know, folks, okay, is he a slick backroom operator? No, he's not. Okay. Does he say stuff he doesn't believe in? No, he doesn't. Is he kind of noisy sometimes? Yeah, he is that. Yeah, for sure. But you know, when you're fighting alongside folks who are getting left out, left behind, shut down, unseen and unheard, you know, sometimes that's noisy business. And that's who he is. That's what we need in our party. That's what millions of Canadians are looking for in the NDP, and that's why I'm so proud to be here today to introduce Charlie Angus as the next leader of our party and the next Prime Minister of Canada. Charlie Angus.
Yes. Hey, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Hamilton. Merci, Miigwech. Je suis très fier d'être ici avec vous, mes amis. On a réussi. Je suis très fier de marcher dans les pas de Jack Layton, Tommy Douglas, Alexa McDonough, Thérèse Casgrain. Et pendant ce cours, j'ai réalisé c'est que possible de présenter une vision authentique et optimiste de remplacer les politiques cyniques à Ottawa. Et c'est pour ça que je suis ici. And I want to thank my friend Andrew Cash, who I've known for so long and who started me on this road of stirring things up when we were just punk kids. And we're still giving her. And Jennifer, je te remercie pour ton leadership, pour ton dévouement à notre mouvement. And Serena, I just want to say how moved I am that you were here to speak up for me. You know, I remember in grade 8, and you went down to Ottawa to explain the squalor and the brutal conditions that children in Attawapiskat were being forced to live with. And you spoke with such dignity and grace to politicians who didn't have a clue. And remember, afterwards, I asked you, I said, Serena, were you nervous when you were speaking in those halls of power? Do you remember? And you said, I wasn't intimidated because I was speaking for my people. You and your sister taught me and taught the nation that Indigenous youth have incredible power to make change. Thank you. And this is why I'm here, to be a partner, to be an ally. Because the days when children go to Ottawa to beg for schools or be left alone on the front lines of a horrific suicide crisis, it has to end. And it will. And I will be in Parliament this fall to look the Prime Minister in the eye and say, enough. Enough with the obstructions, the prevarications, the 150 years of broken promises. Reconciliation, it's not a hashtag. It has to be made real for this generation of children right now. Because I am so tired of going to their funerals. We should be celebrating their graduations. That's what we need to do in this country. C'est clair, mes amis. Les vagues de suicide, ce n'est pas une crise causée par les jeunes. C'est une crise engendrée par le gouvernement canadien. Et quel genre de pays choisit de couper les ailes sa jeunesse? Ça, pour changer ça, que je suis ici. Our movement is needed now more than ever, my friends, in Parliament and on the ground. I was in Vancouver last week, where the eviction rates of seniors is skyrocketing. You know, there is something fundamentally wrong in this country when seniors can't afford to live in the cities that they built. It's got to stop. A national housing program and nothing less. And when I talk with students burdened down with student debt who are unable to live in the cities where they've worked, they've taken the risks. They've invested in their future. And this government has let them down. But we, my friends, are going to make this right. Because this fall, I will go into Parliament and I will challenge Justin Trudeau. Work with us. We can address this crushing level of student debt. Okay, here's the thought. Bombardier CEOs, they call up Justin and they get interest-free loans. Why not Canada's young people? We can make this happen. Et quand je parle avec les travailleurs et les travailleuses, c'est clair, ils ne croient pas que Ottawa comprend la réalité. Et cet automne, le gouvernement de M. Trudeau va renégocier l'ALENA. Ça va être un open bar pour les lobbyistes à Ottawa, mes amis. C'est simple. Et, OK, faites-vous confiance à Justin Trudeau, Donald Trump et Brian Mulroney pour défendre vos intérêts, les intérêts des classes ouvrières du Canada? Pas moi. Je serai là pour vous défendre au Parlement. Vous pouvez compter sur moi. And you know, I never forgot one of the first things that was said to me when I started to launch this campaign. I got stopped at the Tim Hortons in South Porcupine, Ontario, by a 68-year-old man who told me he's going back to work underground in the mine on the drills because his pension was robbed by corporate insiders. And in Canada, that kind of theft is not only legal, they get bonuses for doing it. Indeed, and he said to me, listen, I've been promised the moon over the years by politicians. I have one simple question. If you get in, will you have my back? Well, yes, I will. Yes, I will, because people need a leader in Ottawa who will fight for them, but who will build with them. You know, on this campaign, I've seen the incredible goodness, the tolerance, the resourcefulness of the Canadian people. And let me tell you about my good friend Colleen Wake. She works at the Cami plant in Ingersoll, the most efficient automobile manufacturing plant in North America. And Canadian taxpayers gave millions to bail out GM. And her workers have given them everything. But you know what we've learned is with the 1%, it's never enough. Now they want to ship the jobs to Mexico. So today, Colleen and her workers are setting up the picket lines to defend the Canadian jobs that Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer will never defend. And I will be with them. And you, I know, my friends, we will be with the workers at Cami because this is the front line. And let me tell you about meeting with the IBEW energy workers in Edmonton. They're training the oil patch workers to build a green, sustainable economy with good-paying jobs because blue-collar Canadians see the future. And I want to tell you about Jeff Pistorius. He started a delivery business with a bicycle and grew it into a large cooperative employing dozens of people with decent wages in downtown London. And when I talk to these workers, what they tell me is they want a partner in Ottawa to build, to build livable cities and economies that work for people. And we will be that partner. We will. Nous faisons face à trois crises majeures. Il faut de la justice économique, de la justice environnementale et la justice pour les communautés autochtones. Et ces trois enjeux sont indissociables. And there's another thing I've learned in the 9 months of this campaign, is that leadership, it's not about the leader. It's about giving people a reason to believe that they truly have the power to make change. This is the work I have done my whole life. On a beaucoup de pain sur la planche, mes amis, mais je suis la candidate qui a l'expérience pour unir notre mouvement, pour donner l'énergie à nos militants qui vont préparer l'élection en 2019. Je suis gonflé à bloc pour le job. But I gotta know, I'm gonna admit it, we have a lot of work to do. But it starts by looking out for each other in these divisive times. Because we need to remember that what brings us together as a nation is so much greater than the false politics that divide us. And never forget that the real division that exists in this country is economic. And bringing people together is what we do as New Democrats. Bringing together the communities from the mosques in 905 and the youth leaders in Treaty 9. Standing up with this Hamilton steelworker and the bike couriers in Toronto. Réunir les artistes de Montréal et les employés du secteur forestier de Jonquière. Yeah, the uber rich. They may have the money and the lobbyists and the inside track. But our history in the New Democratic Party, in the labor movement, in the women's movement, in the environmental movement, at the grassroots has proven time and time and time again that people have the power to make change. And we're going to bring that change to Ottawa. Because this is our party. This is our movement. This is why we are here, my friends. So let's get it done. I got your back. Comptez sur moi. People have the power. Yes.
Chers membres, il est maintenant le temps d'accueillir Nikki Ashton.
Fellow New Democrats, please welcome to the stage Nikki Ashton.
Hi, my name is Paige Kazima, and I live in Regina, Saskatchewan. I've been involved in student politics, the labor movement, and I've been active in the party since I was basically in diapers. Nikki doesn't use her voice to speak for other people. Instead, she empowers us to talk about the things that matter.
I support Nikki Ashton because all summer my home has been filled with wildfire smoke, and I need to ask for help to afford the medication that I need to breathe.
Parce que c'est une femme engagée. Comme moi, elle croit à la justice sociale, environnementale et économique.
Because she is a progressive leader with bold and principled policies.
Because I want an NDP that will do for education what Tommy Douglas did for healthcare.
Parce qu'elle a mis de l'avant un plan clair pour lutter contre la discrimination et contre la violence faite aux femmes.
Because I believe in a future that is fair, accessible, and just for all.
Because of policy. Her policies are the most progressive, they're the most comprehensive, and they're the most transformational.
Because Nikki has inspired an entire generation to fight for our rights and the rights of others.
Because she is bringing change to a system that is failing many.
Because she is a smart, strong, experienced, progressive woman who will take our party in the right direction.
Parce que je trouve que c'est une source d'inspiration pour les femmes partout. Elle a amené des propos intelligents, bien songés, bien pensés, et puis voilà.
Because she is the strong, visionary leader Canada needs right now.
I'm inspired by people across this country. Le Québec, une province progressiste où les militants, les militantes et les mouvements sociaux ont pavé la voie pour la gauche et sont devenus une source d'inspiration. BC, where environmental justice is the BC way. The prairies, where grassroots politics go hand in hand with a commitment to social justice. You can tell that this is where it all started, and this is home. Our North, where Indigenous struggles and resistance are leading the way. Ontario, a province of progressive activists seeking nothing less than changing the system. The Atlantic, where many are leading the fight for people over profit and privilege. People have shared many powerful stories. I think of standing with the steelworkers in Hamilton who are fighting for justice, for dignity. When we stood at a plant taken over by a foreign company that has brought in scabs and slashed employment because of Liberal and Tory economic policies. I think of the many inspiring activists, many strong women like Rhiannon and Linnea, who are fighting against pipelines in BC and New Brunswick, fighting for Indigenous rights, fighting for their communities, and fighting to transition to a carbon-free economy. I'm running for leader of Canada's NDP because we need a bold, progressive agenda to tackle growing inequality and catastrophic climate change.
Plusieurs Canadiens font face à la précarité d'emploi. Ils méritent un gouvernement qui fait preuve de leadership au lieu de leur dire, et je cite, de s'habituer. Inacceptable.
We can win in 2019 with a principled, progressive agenda. Principled politics is smart politics. We know that principled leaders rise to power when we're clear on which side we're on the side of working people and those struggling on the margins. We are building a movement for social, environmental, and economic justice together. Join us.
Like Nikki, I dare to dream.
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 J'ose rêver de justice sociale, économique et environnementale.
Like Nikki, I dare to dream
of social,
economic,
and environmental justice.
We're building a movement.
Join me.
Join me.
Join me.
Join me.
Join me. Join us. Vote for Nikki.
C'est la résilience, la passion et le dévouement de Nikki qui m'assurent qu'elle est la personne idéale pour mener le mouvement pour un changement progressiste au Canada. Un mouvement inclusif, innovateur et conscient de la nécessité de créer un pays qui répond réellement aux besoins des Canadiens.
I hope you'll join me in supporting Nikki Ashton for leader of the NDP, because together we can challenge the status quo, we can have renewal in our party, and we can create a country that truly works for everybody. Bye.
Je tiens à reconnaître que nous sommes en territoire Mississauga non cédé. Ce qui a été déterminant dans mon choix d'appuyer Nikki, c'est quand j'ai réalisé que les jeunes néo-démocrates dans Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte appuient Nikki. Quel message d'espoir! Je suis membre depuis 10 ans. J'ai été recrutée par Jack Layton et Thomas Molker et j'ai compris à quel point c'est important d'avoir un chef inspirant qui est une source de motivation pour nous tous. La première fois que j'ai entendu Nikki, c'était probablement lors du congrès d'Halifax en 2009. J'ai dit « Wow! Quelle femme passionnée et déterminée! » Et depuis ce jour, à chaque fois que j'écoute Nikki, j'entends une femme de cœur qui sait toucher les gens et qui sera connectée avec le Québec et le reste du Canada. J'ai besoin d'une chef qui me donne le goût, quand je l'écoute, de changer le monde. Nikki sait nous inspirer avec sa vision où personne n'est laissé pour compte. Tous ceux et celles qui ont entendu un de ses discours savent à quel point elle sait transmettre ses convictions et son énergie. Lors des campagnes de 2007 et 2008, j'ai réalisé que le Québec pouvait connecter avec le NPD. Et je sais maintenant qu'un jour, nous aurons le gouvernement néo-démocrate que le Canada mérite d'avoir. J'imagine facilement Nikki en 2019 dans une ferme de Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte où elle va inspirer les producteurs agricoles. Car la sauvegarde de la gestion de l'offre et des fermes, c'est pas juste des belles paroles. Il faut le faire pour assurer avec des actions concrètes notre sécurité alimentaire. Nous devons choisir une chef en pensant comment la population souhaite avoir de vrais leaders politiques qui parlent avec leur cœur, qui les touchent et leur donnent de l'espoir. Mais surtout, les gens veulent une leader qui a le courage de poser les gestes nécessaires pour concrétiser nos idéaux. Nikki nous a présenté un programme complet qui transpose en action nos valeurs, nos principes et nos convictions. J'appuie Nikki car elle incarne les valeurs progressistes du NPD dans ses idéaux, dans ses actions, mais surtout dans sa façon d'être avec les gens. Tout comme moi, elle a à cœur la justice sociale et souhaite bâtir un mouvement inclusif afin que tous et toutes aient leur place. Elle comprend les réalités du Québec et représente le futur du NPD. Je suis extrêmement fière de présenter la candidature de Nikki Ashton comme prochaine chef du NPD. Lançons un mouvement ensemble. Votons Nikki.
Two years ago, I had the opportunity of meeting Nikki during my undergrad at Brock University. I was part of a club called Brock Women in the House, where I had the opportunity to shadow a female MP and connect with female MPs from all parties. I remember when I met Nikki, I had tears running down my face as I finally had the opportunity to meet my role model. While I was hyperventilating and trying to remember how to breathe, Nikki came up to me and gave me a hug and said, "It's such an honor to meet you, Arishana. You are my inspiration and my role model." I was so awestruck that Nikki Ashton, a well-experienced MP with so many accomplishments, looked up to me as her inspiration. After meeting Nikki, she took me under her wings and taught me so much about politics. I had the opportunity to work in her parliamentary office, where I helped organize the first ever Precarious Workers Forum. Seeing Nikki in action was amazing. Whether that be holding the Prime Minister to account in question period in Ottawa, canvassing for a by-election in Toronto, or working with students on the East Coast on ending precarious work, Nikki was always there. She inspired me to continue the fight for justice, to build a movement, and to continue to inspire many young women and Canadians. Nikki Ashton has taught me that it's okay to be myself and to never let people get in the way of my dreams and my passion. Nikki's always been there for me, and I'm so proud today to be standing up here for her. That is why I am supporting Nikki Ashton for the leader of the NDP. Her passion, her determination, and her strength when fighting for social justice is what we need from the next leader of our party. It's time for a prime minister whose feminism goes beyond a catch slogan. It's time for fundamental change. With Nikki as our leader, we can build a movement for social, economic, and environmental justice.
It is such an honor to be here in front of you to talk about my good friend, Nikki Ashton. Throughout the campaign, Nikki has been a strong advocate for fairness, equity, and progressive policy. Over the last few months, she's proven her dedication to the issues she and I care about. Issues like accessible education with free tuition, good jobs in modern industry, and a place at the table for everyone in Canadian society. That is why I endorse Nikki Ashton, and that is why I continue to support Nikki Ashton. Nikki inspires people wherever she goes, and as a Prairie sister, I can tell you that the way Nikki stands up for her community inspires me. It is time now for me to introduce my good friend, Nikki Ashton, our next leader and Canada's next Prime Minister.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Arushana. Merci, Brigitte. I want to begin by acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Mississauga people. Something is happening in our country. We are building a movement from coast to coast. Nous lançons un mouvement d'un océan à l'autre. Il s'agit d'un mouvement pour le changement fondamental. I am from Thompson, Manitoba, a mining town, a union town in our north on NCN traditional territory. I'm the daughter of immigrants. My first language is not English or French, it's Greek, imidriki glossa. Je suis fière d'avoir appris le français, c'est primordial pour moi afin de bien comprendre ce qui se passe dans notre pays. I grew up in a multicultural community. In the process, I learned or even studied a few languages, Espanol, Ukrainsky, Ruski, Putonghua, and Cree. Growing up, I saw the tremendous paradox, though, of Canada. In a region that is so wealthy, Indigenous communities live in third world conditions, and more value-added jobs are being taken away. And I saw firsthand the power of the labor movement in fighting for fairness. I grew up knowing which side I was on. And I believe that we are at a crossroads today as a party, as a movement, and as a country. We are facing growing inequality and catastrophic climate change, and a resurgence of the politics of hate. La crise des inégalités dans notre pays ne peut pas être assez soulignée. Au Canada, elles connaissent une croissance encore plus rapide que chez nos voisins américains. Plus de 37% des gains de revenus au Canada encourus lors des dernières 25 années sont allés dans les poches du 1%. Our manufacturing sector has been hollowed out, and it's the lowest levels of employment since the 1960s. 2 Canadian billionaires own the same amount of wealth as 11 million Canadians. The middle class is eroding, and poor and working class Canadians are falling further behind. Inequality has many faces. Les inégalités ont plusieurs visages. Autochtones, racisées, genrées. Pour les personnes handicapées, elles sont queer, trans, et de plus en plus, elles ont un nouveau visage, celui de l'inégalité intergénérationnelle. Les jeunes, membres de la génération dite millénaire. Young people, the millennial generation, my generation, are facing the prospect of being worse off than previous generations. Precarious employment, sky-high tuitions and high student debts, And add to that housing prices and even rental prices where people can't get in. This is the reality, an increasingly precarious life. I took this time to travel the country, to listen to millennials and community members, and I will never forget their stories. Like the young woman in Windsor who moved back into her home city, into her parents' basement to get a third degree, hoping to finally be able to find work. But one thing she said she knew she wasn't going to be able to do was to have kids because she could never give them what her parents gave her. This didn't just happen. It is the result of political and economic decisions, decades of liberal and conservative economic policies like privatization, deregulation, outsourcing, austerity, foreign takeovers, and job-killing trade deals. We've had 150 years of liberal and conservative governments, and if anybody believes that there's any significant difference between them, just look at what's happening with NAFTA. Au lieu de défendre les emplois des Canadiens et des Canadiennes, Justin Trudeau a eu l'idée géniale d'inviter un des architectes de l'ALENA à titre de conseiller principal en matière d'échanges commerciaux. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Liberal, Tory, same old story. Fellow New Democrats, there is a better way. We can build a society based on people, not profits. It starts with fundamental change, tackling inequality through tax reform that will ensure that millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share. Nous utiliserons ces revenus pour améliorer la qualité de vie de l'ensemble de la population, pour améliorer notre système de santé en adoptant un programme d'assurance médicaments universel, d'assurance dentaire et des services de santé mentale. And in a country where education is a right, where nearly 2/3 of jobs require post-secondary education, we can, we must, and we will roll back and eliminate tuition fees in Canada. We can and we will be bold by establishing a national child care system, and we will create jobs in this country, good jobs. Nous créerons des emplois, de bons emplois, grâce à des investissements massifs dans le logement et en faisant preuve d'audace en appuyant la nouvelle économie verte. We will use public ownership for the public good, including sending a clear message to the Liberals that if they privatize it, we will nationalize it when we form government. We can and we will bring about economic justice through fundamental change. Nous ne devons pas nous douter de la véracité des changements climatiques aussi. Ils sont réels et ces ravages se font déjà sentir. On est confronté à une vraie catastrophe si nous n'agissons pas avec sérieux en tant que pays et en tant que planète. It starts by recognizing that climate change didn't just happen. It is the result of an unsustainable economic system. And let's be clear, the solution will not come from big oil or from liberals and conservatives that have failed us so far. We must be bold. Scientists are telling us that even the next 3 years will be critical, so we must act now. And there is no room to sit on the fence. I have been clear in opposing pipelines. We cannot violate Indigenous rights and destroy the environment. And we will use public ownership, a crown corporation, to spearhead shifting to a carbon-free economy. Nous devons agir pour contrer la croissance des inégalités et des changements climatiques, mais nous devons aussi agir en vue de contrer une menace émergente. La politique de la haine et de la division, le racisme, l'islamophobie, l'antisémitisme, l'homophobie, la transphobie et la misogynie ici au Canada et à l'étranger. And while we fight for justice here at home, we must fight for justice abroad. It is time for the NDP to be a principled voice, again, for peace and justice in Palestine and the Middle East. And we must speak out against human rights abuses and for international law, whether it's the Rohingya Muslims or Tamils or Kurds. Le NPD et le Canada doivent porter la voix de la paix à travers le monde. Et cela commence en rejetant la croissance massive des dépenses militaires initiées par les libéraux. It is clear we must be bold. Incremental change won't cut it. Bold progressive politics is smart politics. Les politiques progressistes audacieuses sont les politiques de l'avenir. C'est la clé en vue de connecter avec les Canadiens et les Canadiennes, et nous pouvons rebâtir notre parti en vue de renouer avec les victoires lors de la prochaine élection. So consider this for a moment. In the next election, the largest single voting group will be the millennial generation. On social and economic issues, millennials are one of the most progressive generations in history. And in the last election, Justin Trudeau promised real change. He received record support from young people. And of course, young people came out and crushed that idea that they don't vote. The reality was Trudeau did not deliver. He lied. In fact, he has broken promise after promise after promise. We can offer Canadians fundamental change. Women will be critical in the next election. Working people, the declining middle class, Indigenous people, racialized Canadians are looking for progressive ideas. Les politiques progressistes sont aussi importantes au Québec. Avec sa tradition progressiste, ses mouvements militants et la solidarité sociale, nous pouvons bâtir une nouvelle vague orange. Nous avons besoin de politiques progressistes, a progressive politics not driven by polling and PR, but by principles, policies, and passion. So Justin Trudeau, if you are watching, I have a message for you. Enjoy being Prime Minister while it lasts. Because in the next election, I know you're going to try to recycle your promises. You may even take a few more selfies. But Canadians know that only the NDP will bring real change. Tommy Douglas dared us to dream. I dare to dream. I ask you to join us in building a movement for social, environmental, and economic justice for all. Je vous invite de nous rejoindre. Join.
Shows that looks just the same as it turns on you.
New Democrats, please welcome to the stage for our next showcase, Jagmeet Singh.
Chers amis, c'est maintenant au tour de Jagmeet Singh.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis Hélène Laverdière, députée de Laurier-Sainte-Marie à Montréal. Et je suis enchantée d'être ici avec ma collègue et amie Jenny Kwan et tous mes collègues ici présents et avec vous tous pour vous parler d'une personne absolument extraordinaire, Jagmeet Singh. Dès ma première rencontre avec Jagmeet, j'ai été frappée par son respect, son humilité, son humanité et son sens de l'écoute. Jagmeet, c'est quelqu'un qui non seulement parle des valeurs de solidarité, d'ouverture et de justice sociale, mais qui les incarne personnellement. C'est un politicien qui s'est donné comme défi, comme mandat, de rejoindre tout le monde, au-delà de notre base traditionnelle, et qui relève ce défi de façon absolument spectaculaire. Moi, je veux un NPD qui parle aux jeunes, qui parle aux membres des communautés culturelles, qui parle aux personnes de la diversité sexuelle, qui parle aux travailleurs, aux travailleuses, aux Québécois et aux Québécoises. Je veux un NPD qui sait parler à ceux et celles qui ne s'intéressent pas forcément à la politique ou à notre parti. Je veux un NPD qui soit vraiment à l'écoute de toutes et de tous. C'est avec Jagmeet qu'on va rejoindre ces gens-là. C'est avec Jagmeet que le NPD va grandir, qu'on va gagner les prochaines élections et qu'on va enfin pouvoir s'atteler à la tâche de bâtir un pays plus juste, plus vert et plus solidaire. Et ça, on va le faire avec Jagmeet, on va le faire avec vous tous et on va le faire avec cœur et avec courage. Merci beaucoup.
My name is Jenny Kwan, and I'm the MP for Vancouver East. I am delighted to join with my fellow members of Parliament to support Jagmeet Singh to be the next leader of Canada's NDP. More than ever, we need Canadians to be engaged in the political process. We need it for our families. We need it for our communities. We need it for our democracy. As a New Democrat, I am so proud of our history and our accomplishments. But for us to bring it to the next phase, we need to move beyond third-party status. Our job is more than just to hold the Liberals, then the Conservatives, then the Liberals to account. Our job is to form the next federal government. That means we need a leader who can connect and engage the hearts and minds of everyday Canadians in an unprecedented way. We need a leader who can spark the interest and make our political movement relevant to them. We need someone who can ignite their inner New Democratic values. I'm supporting Jagmeet Singh, a dynamic personality who can do just that. He is genuine, he is humble, and he is so respectful. From his mother, he learned that if we lift up the people around us, we all rise. From the teachings of the elders of the First Peoples, we've learned that we are one. So friends, with love and courage, let us work together and make history. Please join me in supporting Jagmeet Singh to be the next leader of Canada's NDP.
We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. Ready.
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up. So let me see your hands up, so everybody know, put your hands up, so if you're ready for the road, let your friend them know. We're ready for the road.
Thank you. And to the team, thank you. Wow, thank you very much. It's an incredible honor to be here. Hi, everybody. How's Hamilton doing? How you feeling? All right. Bonjour, Hamilton. Sego, Ani, Kedan, Kemeo, Dosto, Pyari Mitro, Jiayanu. I would like to begin by acknowledging the lands on which we're gathered today, traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe. Merci d'être ici. Votre énergie m'inspire à chaque jour. We all know when you're trying to do something big, it's not achieved alone. It takes a team. On stage with me right now is just one part of our cross-country team. And I want to show them a lot of love and a lot of gratitude for all their incredible work, friends and colleagues and supporters. And like all the other candidates know, all of us had tremendous teams that have built up an incredible movement. So let's take a moment now to show all of the teams some love. Let's give them a collective round of applause, all the wonderful teams. Thank you. Throughout our campaign, I've been connecting with more and more Canadians looking for a political voice. And I'm bringing them home to our party, the NDP. New Democrats owe it to Canadians to form government. That's the only way we can make the progress that's needed on climate change, inequality, and reconciliation. That's why I'm running. We're bringing new members, new voters, new volunteers into our movement. We're organizing to win in 2019 so that we can finally have the social democratic government that Canada deserves. Il y a une soif au Canada et dans notre parti pour un nouveau leadership, pour une nouvelle direction rassembleuse, pour bâtir un Canada inclusif où chacun peut réaliser ses rêves. Et c'est pourquoi, mes amis, je suis fier de me présenter à la chefferie du NPD du Canada. Like so many, my parents immigrated to Canada to build a better life. That meant I had the incredible honor of growing up in great communities across Canada. I was born in Scarborough, Ontario. Shout out to Scarborough and Toronto. And I was raised in both St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as the vibrant working class city of Windsor, Ontario. As a child, my mother taught me we are all connected. That when one of us is suffering, all are suffering. We are all suffering. She taught me that if we lift up people around us, we all rise together. This principle is what drives me to fight against inequality, to build a more just society. To do this, we must tackle 4 major issues. Inequality, especially income inequality, pay inequity, and housing affordability. Climate change, absolutely. Climate change, reconciliation, and electoral reform. These are issues important. And not just any electoral reform, proportional representation with mixed membership. Mes parents ont grandi dans un pays qui ne respectait pas les droits des minorités et j'ai vu l'impact de cette expérience dans leur vie. Ils ont appris à avoir honte de parler leur langue, mais ils ont été fiers malgré tout. Et j'ai appris le lien entre la langue et la culture. J'ai découvert que les francophones au Canada, et en particulier les Québécois, ont fait face à des pressions similaires en lien avec leur langue et leur identité. Ça m'a blessé que l'expérience de mes parents s'est passée dans mon propre pays. C'est à ce moment-là que je me suis engagé à apprendre le français, comme geste de solidarité avec les francophones à travers le Canada et au peuple québécois. I've shared a lot of stories with New Democrats around the country, but one story I haven't shared is something that my family and I experienced. While I was in university, my father became very ill. Both my parents were unable to work, and my dad needed support. As a family, we had to figure out how to pay the bills, put food on the table, find the money for our university tuitions, and keep a roof over our heads. As the oldest of 3 siblings, I felt a responsibility to step up and provide support. So in my 20s, I became the sole income earner for my family. I took on 3 retail jobs at once, selling jeans, shoes, and clothing. I also took in my youngest sibling, my brother Gratan Singh. I became his surrogate parent. I made his meals, bought his clothes, sent him to school, and even attended parent-teacher meetings. We continued this way until my father was thankfully back on his feet many years later. We were lucky to find our way out of this precarious situation, but many people don't. Many people have faced far more difficult struggles and continue to face those struggles today. I just caught a little glimpse of the pressure they feel. The weight of living paycheck to paycheck, knowing the consequences of falling short, letting your family down, and losing the basics like shelter, food, and education. That's why when Justin Trudeau tells people to just get used to insecure employment, it offends me. Maybe if you look at employment as a hobby, you can just get used to unstable work. But if your work means the difference between putting food on the table or a roof over the head of your family, then job insecurity is unacceptable. Yes. I've seen the immense burden and stress precarious employment puts on families in my riding and across Canada. That's why the first 2 policies I introduced in this leadership race were my Better Work agenda and my income security agenda. They tackle inequality by protecting workers from being exploited under insecure employment, and they ensure that we have basic income guarantees to support those who are most vulnerable in our society. So growing up with brown skin, long hair, and a funny-sounding name meant I faced some challenges growing up. I've been stopped by the police for no other reason than the color of my skin. That experience continued even as a law student and as a lawyer. It makes you feel like you don't belong. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you for just being you. And that's why I built on the incredible work of activists across Canada, and as deputy leader of Ontario's NDP, brought forward a motion calling for the end to the discriminatory police practice of carding. Thank you. My motion passed, and now I want to see the day when no one in Canada is ever arbitrarily stopped by the police. As Prime Minister, I will enact a federal ban on racial profiling to end it once and for all. My own experiences with racial injustice and economic difficulty are part of what drives me to work to end all forms of injustice, whether it's social, environmental, or economic. Je l'ai déjà dit, je ne suis pas ici pour vous convaincre d'accepter mon turban ni ma barbe. Par contre, je veux vous convaincre que je suis quelqu'un qui partage les mêmes valeurs que vous. Je suis un social-démocrate et un progressiste qui croit qu'il faut se battre pour les droits de chacun et contre les inégalités. Ce sont mes valeurs fondamentales qui m'ont amené à lutter pour les droits des femmes, pour les droits de la communauté LGBTQ. Je crois aux programmes sociaux universels administrés par le secteur public. Je crois fermement à la séparation de la religion et de l'État. Je peux vous assurer que mes croyances spirituelles ne sont aucunement en conflit avec mes valeurs social-démocrates et progressistes. So, recently, my team and I were, I'm sure you've all seen this or heard about this, were confronted at a campaign event with angry, hateful, and Islamophobic comments. After seeing the video of this event, many people tried to come to my defense by clarifying that I'm Sikh, not Muslim. While I appreciate what they tried to do, my response to Islamophobia has never been, I'm not Muslim. It has always been and will always be that hate is wrong. Thank you. Because once allowed to grow, hate doesn't pick and choose. Hate is like a fire. Once we say it's okay to hate someone based on their religion, we're opening up the door to hate someone based on their race, their gender, their sexuality, and more. That's why it's so important that we stand united against all forms of hate. And that's why we've been championing a politics of love to fight the growing politics of hate, a politics of courage to fight the politics of fear. This leadership race is about who will get us ready for 2019. Our team has already started by recruiting 47,000 new members. Thousands of members in Liberal-held ridings laying the ground to take on Trudeau. Here, in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, 50 of 59 seats are held by Liberals. This is where our team recruited 25,000 new Democrats, making our path to victory clear. Now just think about what we've been able to do in just a few short months. Now imagine what we can build together in 2 years. Imaginez ce qu'on pourrait faire de plus ensemble. One of the most important things that my mom taught me is this concept of Chardi Kala. It literally means rising spirits. It means hope in the face of adversity. It means not backing down even when it looks hard, even when it looks impossible, because it's not. C'est ce que Jacques et Tom ont montré au Québec. Ils ont percé malgré que tout le monde disait qu'ils ne pouvaient pas. Et maintenant, Guy Caron continue sur ce chemin en s'assurant que la voix du caucus québécois dans cette course à la chefferie soit forte. Merci. My team in Brampton proved it when they told us we couldn't win in the suburbs, and we did. We proved it, all of us. We proved it together in Alberta, And in British Columbia, when we were told we'd never win government, but Rachel Notley and John Horgan proved them that we did and we can. We've also been told that the NDP will never form federal government. But together, we will, my friends. We will. Friends, New Democrats, I invite you all to join me in a campaign to win in 2019. It takes an act of love to realize that we're all in this together, and an act of courage to demand better, to dream bigger, and to fight for a more just and inclusive world. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you.
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. 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 We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. 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 Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up. The girl them a wine non-stop. We had the drinks them in a my cup. We gonna party all night, all night. 24 parties we hit in a row. Tonight at the very last show, before we head out on the road. The girl them a release the load. So let me see your hands up, so everybody know, put your hands up, so if you're ready for the road, let your friend them know. We're ready for the road. We're ready for the road. So we're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. 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 Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. The girl them a wait all week. Figure up on the road like freak. The music full of applause with thousands of chipping feet. Everywhere you look is just food, and everybody in a real nice mood. We gonna party all night, all night. Everyone with me.
Wow! Merci à tous pour 4 excellentes présentations.
Wow, this has been a wonderful afternoon and evening with these amazing presentations. Let's give one more great big thank you to all 4 of these amazing candidates.
Alors, n'oubliez pas, si vous votez par la poste, postez votre bulletin rapidement pour qu'il arrive à Montréal à temps.
That's a really good reminder. If you are voting by mail, please do so soon so that it arrives to Montreal on time. If you're voting online voting begins tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and you will have 2 weeks to cast your ballot.
Alors, pour vous rappeler une dernière fois, si vous votez en ligne, le vote commence demain matin, 10 h, heure de l'Est, et vous aurez 2 semaines pour voter. Les résultats du premier tour de scrutin seront annoncés le 1er octobre, le jour même où le vote prendra fin à Toronto.
Ballot results will be announced October 1st in Toronto, and you're all invited to join us. Thanks again to those who tuned in online, everyone who came up to a packed room today. We appreciate it.
Merci, Tanya. T'as fait tout un job aujourd'hui.
You as well, Mathieu. C'était un plaisir. Thank you very much for emceeing with me today. It's been a lot of fun, and let's hear it for our leadership potentials one more time.
Merci beaucoup et bonne fin de journée. Thank you.
Thank you.